I've copied your Archoneer build precisely, and my damage is so much lower. Actually, it's your DPS, and I'm in the same position, brother. They fixed the exploit that made it so Archoneer, or the Havoc form, could go crazy when you had pretty high skill casting speed, just below 100% exactly. That's gone. That's been fixed. They did buff the Havoc form, although the DPS is still tragic. The damage is good, and considering you don't need to aim, you require 0 aim, you have pretty fast movement if you have footwork as well. It's still fun to use, and given the build we got today, you can reset it very quickly, and I'm not using anything that's too crazy either, and no team killing abilities. My turret killed me again, dude. Except for one. So we're going to be using the amulet of Spirit Wisp, the amulet. Activating a mod reduces current skill cooldowns by 3% for every 300 mod power spent. People ask me why I have to use voices, right? Like weird accents. I can't say words, and using the weird accents helps me, okay? Burden of the Gambler disables weak spots, increases crit chance by 10% and crit damage by 20%. Alumni ring, increase all elemental damage dealt by 10%. Burden of the Follower, reduce fire rate by 15%, increase mod power generation by 50%. The other ring you can use is Stone of Malevolence, which may be, actually no, it wouldn't be better. If you want to use Firestorm, I think you use that ring instead, but it's not very ethical. Then Stone of Continuance, increase skill duration by 25%. That makes your Havoc form last longer. I don't believe it applies to your turret. Usually I cover archetypes first. I'm sorry I didn't do it this time. I want to mix things up. So Archon, Havoc form, also Archon being your primary with this build is nice because you need the mod generation. All your perks are for your mods. You also have increased mod damage as well. Then Engineer. I really enjoy the second skill recently. It's very strong against a lot of different monsters, especially Abomination, Kairu Reeves, like the freaking tree monster guy. I always forget his name. Any monster that doesn't fly, the second skill, the flamethrower turret, when on the ground, does a lot of freaking damage. Otherwise, I suggest using the first skill, and with the second skill, you will probably die to your turret, so you're gonna maybe want kinship if you're running that. And a lot of y'all will probably run Firestorm, so kinship is also good. And as always, Engineer does increase our skill damage with the first perk Metalworker and crit chance, so we need that for maximum damage. I don't think anything else will come close to this at all. On top of that, we get extra survivability because we have the Fortify trait. For the weapons, I'm using the modifier Tremor and Feedback. Usually I put feedback on the spikes. I don't think that's smart, thinking about it now. I think someone in the comments mentioned, hey man, I don't think that feedback triggers off spikes. And I was like, you know, I'll try that. And they were right. I feel it does nothing. With Tremors, it resets a lot. So looking back on it, I'm pretty sure the build I had for my mod damage, my mod mage build, you put feedback on Firestorm and you get even more damage from that. Which, by the way, that build dunks on this one. Not even close. Just not even close. Anyway, Tremor feedback for the secondary weapon, and the weapon you use can be your choice, handgun. And I want to do a tier list, by the way, in the future for handguns by themselves and long guns. Because I got some discoveries that, you know, I think are pretty neat. Skewer 2.0 for my primary weapon, and harmonizer. Harmonizer's lit. You just get increased mod gen for whatever you're not using at the moment, and or both weapons. Also, Skewer and Tremor are being chosen because they have pretty decent mod cost, which is good for the amulet we're using, and they have 2 charges. So there's you won't be overcharging as much. Whereas if you have like a single charge mod, chances are you can't fire it fast enough, so you won't be getting the max value. And not many other mods come close to these 2 modifiers in their cost, and they're also single charges half the time. So these are the mods I would use, but use whatever you like. All right, and then your armor, whatever you want. Usually I'm using a lighter armor, but with the Havoc form, I think you can dodge the same speed no matter what your armor rating is. As for my relic, I'm using the Ruined Heart for mod generation with the elemental damage, skill damage, and mod and skill casting speed fragments. You can also use Diverting Heart. You pop that, you get, I guess, extra cooldown reduction, and or Shielded Heart if you want to pop that and survive hits even on apocalyptic. Which, by the way, I keep getting comments such as, this YouTuber's lying just like everyone else, saying he's on apocalyptic when in reality he's on nightmare or survivor. It's like, my brother, use your eyeballs, okay? I shouldn't have to draw you a map to help you conclude that the icon on the bottom right of my mini map shows my difficulty. It's a cracked skull, turbo cracked skull. It's shattered, and the top right is a number that's 21. That means that the scaling of my apocalyptic difficulty is the highest it can possibly be currently. It's apocalyptic and it's the highest scaling. What do you, like, I even live stream the game, bro. There's no hiding anything, okay? So all the videos that say apocalyptic, like at the end of the Remnant 2 thing, they're apocalyptic. I don't have to lie. It's right there. Anyway, as for the next build, this is going to be a bleed-based build, which gives you more damage, but has a little bit more effort you have to apply to use it correctly. Go ahead and swap your Archon and Engineer modifiers around and make it so Engineer is your prime archetype. So changing the amulet to Abrasive Whetstone, if you hit bleeding enemies, you get 15% extra crit chance and 30% crit damage. We're keeping 2 of our rings the same. We're adding a probability chord instead of the mod gen ring, and also adding devoured loop instead of the skill duration. Because with this, you don't want your skill to last too long, since the bleed we're applying doesn't require pipe bombs, but it only lasts 15 seconds. And that would be coming from blood draw, which is a modifier that comes from the Red Prince. You got to give him 3 clams, which I think are called the Crimson Clams. Maybe the Crimson Coins. I don't know his currency. And you give him those, and he gives you this mod, which is cool, but it has a pretty annoying cast time and a really short range. But it does apply bleed, and it doesn't cost me 200 scrap every time I use it. So I'm using it. And with that, you also want to use Nebula. So the way you're going to play this build, like I said, man, it requires setup. You go into a boss room or during a fight, whatever. You put down your turret. If you can overdrive it, you overdrive it. Then you pop Nebula. Then you swap to the primary weapon or whatever has the bleed modifier. You get close enough to shoot it and land it. You land it, and then you wait for the right opportunity to pop Havoc to where you won't get mollywomped. And then you get to mowing, brother. Which, speaking of that, I freaking mowed this hedge today, dude. I'm actually not even tall enough to mow. There's like a hedge outside my house, right? I may have let it get a little crazy, and now I'm not tall enough to cut that into good shape. But yeah, the second build's nice. It does a lot of crits. It's pretty fun. Havoc still needs some love, bro. I'm debating on making a full-fledged video on all the things I'd change about Havoc, which wouldn't be that long because there's not much to change. Like, make the damage... Like, at certain points, I think Havoc's DPS should be 3k minimum. And there should be the ability to change the right click or the hold that is a shield that no one's going to use really to a damaging ability like a Hamehameha, a little freaking beam channel, or a giant ball. Something. Still think that should happen. But Havoc is still fun. It's neat to use, and after all, in games like this, if you want replayability, that really comes down to either playing the game on harder difficulties, but also trying different builds. So this is a fun build to use. I recommend it. It's a decent time. The one I like, the bleed one requires more effort and setup, but it does more damage if you do things correctly, and it's fun. So anywho, thank you all for watching. It means a ton. Check out my Twitch if you want to. I have a TikTok where I'm not really posting to right now, like the past few days. Gotta figure it out, man. I'm not sure if people want Remnant 2 on that or not. We'll see. And if you liked the video, leave a like, a comment, and catch y'all later. Peace. I had a sick kill, bro. I killed it in 2 phases of the Archon Havoc, and the last final blow was a chain pull. And at the very end of it, I couldn't see my OBS, and I said, let me guess, I'm not recording. I pull up OBS, and sure enough, I'm not recording. I think it's my keyboard, man. I think I hit the F7 key, which is my record button. It doesn't actually go through. It's driving me nuts. But a friend got me a new one that I haven't gotten to the store to get, or the post office, because my review mirror melted off my windshield. So, fun stuff. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good day.